Well, we've seen another NHL trade, this time involving a goaltender, and it's another Sharks goaltender. We'll touch on this trade plus a few signings that have significant impacts to the trade deadline. We'll go to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all of your support. We'd never be able to do this without you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. It really does help with the channel, and we're closing in on 500 subscribers, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of this. And also don't forget to stay tuned for our March 7th trade deadline video. We're going to be talking about all the trade deadline stuff that happens over on Friday. Tune in about 11:30ish Mountain Time to check in and see how we're doing. But definitely love to see you guys on that stream on Friday. But definitely in this video we got 3 signings plus an interesting trade to talk about. So we're going to touch on all these things here. First, we're going to start with the signings that happened from our past couple days. Back over on Monday, we saw 2 really interesting signings. First with the Washington Capitals, as we saw them extend goaltender Logan Thompson earlier in the year. And there was a lot of talk of them having conversations about extending backup goaltender Charlie Lindgren. Well, they've officially done so. Lindgren, who's in the final year of a 3-year deal with an AAV of $1.1 million. He's a 31-year-old goaltender, has actually done quite well for the Capitals over the past couple of years. Has signed a 3-year extension with Washington with an AAV of $3 million. Now, for what Lindgren brings as a solid backup, I don't think this is actually a bad deal for the Capitals. Last year, in 50 games with Washington, Lindgren put up a 2.67 GAA and 911 save percentage, and was actually the team's starting goaltender in the playoffs. So Lindgren had a fantastic year. This year, with Thompson having so much of a hot start, he hasn't had as much responsibility, but he still put up some decent numbers. Has an 898 save percentage, which is a little bit lower than last year, and a 2.7 GAA, which is similar to last year, in only 27 games. So he's definitely had a lot less of a workload, but he's still actually been doing some pretty good stuff there for the Washington Capitals. And although his record hasn't been as good as Logan Thompson, he showed that he can be a really serviceable backup. So all in all, I think this is a pretty good signing there for the Capitals. 3 years, $3 million for a solid backup goaltender who's done quite well over the past years. I don't think it's overly bad. And actually, I do really like this signing for the Capitals. So all in all, interesting sign there, but the Capitals have extended backup goalie Charlie Lindgren. Next, going over to the Utah Hockey Club. When it comes to them, they also made a signing 2 days ago, and it was with one of their defensemen. They acquired Olli Maatta a couple of months ago. I think it was just after the season started, from the Detroit Red Wings when they were running into some defensive injuries, but Maatta's actually turned into a really solid third pair defenseman for that Utah Hockey Club team. He's 30 years old, he's a left shot defenseman, can also play on the right side as well. So in an interesting turn of events, instead of moving him at the deadline and getting a solid return, Utah has indeed decided to sign him. Maatta gets a 3-year contract extension with an AAV of $3.5 million to remain in Utah. So it's an interesting signing. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I thought Maatta would probably get between $2.5 to $3 million on the open market, and I thought he would probably definitely get dealt before a deadline. So to see him sign an extension in Utah is a little bit surprising, but he's actually had a pretty good season this year. In 51 games with Utah, he's put up 2 goals and 14 points, which is only 4 shy of last year's point total when he had 4 goals and 18 points in 72 games last year with Detroit. So Maatta's had a pretty good season. He only had no points in 7 games with Detroit before he got dealt. So Maatta's found a home on the third pair in Utah, and Utah's decided to sign him. And like I said, I think it's a little bit too much money, but I do think it's a decent addition for the Utah Hockey Club, given how well Maatta has fit in with the Utah Hockey Club. So interesting note there, but Maatta has signed a 3-year extension to remain in Utah. And the other signing was a massive one that everyone saw coming. Olivier, who was in the final year of his deal, has been speculated for a long period of time that he was going to get a long-term extension done with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Well, that has finally taken place. The 28-year-old bottom 6 right winger who has a lot of good physical aspects to his game, who's in the final year of a 2-year deal with an AAV of $1.1 million, has signed a 6-year extension in Columbus with an AAV of $3 million. That's a fantastic addition there for the Jackets. Now, Olivier had mostly in his career been a solid rough and tumble forward, gets into fights, puts up a lot of penalty minutes. Well, this year's actually produced really well in a depth scoring role. Has a career high 12 goals and 21 points in 61 games. So he's had a very fantastic year for the Jackets, found a really good home on that 4th line in Columbus, and the Jackets reward him accordingly. Now, I do think that $3 million for a bottom 6 forward is really expensive, but with the cap going up, we'll start to get less and less of a bad deal. So if Olivier can continue to produce about 20 to 30 points and produce 10 to 15 goals and still be that sort of hard-hitting forward that he's been with Columbus this year, I actually think that's going to be a really good pickup there for the Jackets. So all in all, I do think it's a little bit of an overpayment and maybe a little bit too long on the term with 6 years. I do think this is a really good pickup there for the Jackets, and given how well Olivier has played this year in Columbus, I do really like this deal. So all in all, those are the 3 signings we saw, as Maatta, instead of getting dealt by Utah, signed a 3-year extension to stay there. Backup goaltender in Washington, Charlie Lindgren, signed a 3-year extension to stay there. And Mathieu Olivier, like everyone thought, did sign an extension 6 years to remain in Columbus. So interesting note there. And lastly, we do have a trade between these 2 teams, Florida and San Jose. It was a small trade, but it was an interesting one. As we heard last night that the San Jose Sharks had kept out Vitek Vanecek out of game action due to the fact that there was a trade that seemed to be brewing. Well, there has officially been a Vitek Vanecek trade. For the second time this year, the Sharks have traded a goaltender. And it trades as follows. It's quite simple. Vitek Vanecek, with his full $3.4 million cap hit, has been dealt to the Florida Panthers, and in exchange, the San Jose Sharks get young prospect Patrick Giles. So this is an interesting move for both sides. When we look at the Panthers side, they recently just traded Spencer Knight to the Blackhawks to get them Seth Jones. But with Matthew Tkachuk going on long-term injury reserve for potentially the rest of the regular season, they had cap space to work with, and they needed someone who could fill in the backup role. Like, I think they were okay with Driedger being the backup to Bobrovsky, but they did want an upgrade, so they get Vanecek here. Vanecek's in the final year of his deal. He's making $3.4 million. He's only 29 years old, so if he does well in Florida, maybe he gets a contract extension. We'll have to wait and see. So far this year, in 18 games with the Sharks, has a 3.89 GAA and 882 save percentage after having a 3.18 GAA and 890 save percentage in 32 games with New Jersey. So he's not had an overly great stretch over the past couple of years, not had a really great season since that 22-23 season in New Jersey when he was really good, and ever since then he's sort of fallen off a little bit, but maybe in a backup role with Florida, which is a much better team than San Jose is, with a much better defense in front of him, he could be a really solid backup goaltender for the Panthers. So it's an interesting trade there. He'll probably spend like 5 to 7 games being a starter in Florida, and then Bobrovsky's going to go and be the starter during the playoffs. So interesting note there, but Vanecek is now the new backup in Florida. And for the San Jose Sharks, they only get Patrick Giles. Now, I have a pretty high inclination that the only reason they got one low prospect is because they weren't able to retain any sort of money and make it a little bit more worthwhile for the Panthers, but they do at least get something in return. Giles is a 25-year-old right winger. He's in the first year of a 2-year deal with AV of league minimum salary. Last year, Giles put up one of his better seasons at the AHL level, putting up 13 goals and 23 points in 66 games. This year had 5 goals and 7 points in 39 AHL games, but also got into his first 9 career NHL games, putting up no points, but he still looks like he could eventually maybe be a sell bottom 6 forward. He is one of the older prospects the Panthers had, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Patrick Giles, who has been a couple of years now in the AHL, has been dealt to the San Jose Sharks, and in return, the Florida Panthers get their new backup in Vitek Vanecek. So definitely some interesting trade and signing news from our past couple of days. I do think at this point that the Panthers win this deal, because I think Vanecek, even though he hasn't been a good backup in San Jose or New Jersey the past couple of years, the Panthers really didn't give up much, and I think Vanecek is an upgrade on Driedger. So definitely, I'd love to hear your thoughts on who you think won this deal and the signings from our past couple of days down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk about for today. Remember to like this video. If you liked it, remember to subscribe below. Thank you for all your support. We're able to thought of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below so all that was discussed in today's video. I also have a blog to make news, rumors, analysis. If that's, so check that out. I'll leave a link to that down in the description below. And can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.